board meeting to order. I'm the assistant chair of the board. The chair is not present tonight. My name is Arthur Marcus. So the first thing I'd like to do is have us all stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tricia, did you want to do your announcements now, or?
Sure. We just have two new staff members here with us tonight. Amanda Four, who is a new planning assistant with us. And we also have Mike Ferrer, who is a planner too, and he is the case planner for our first item. So he will be presenting to you all.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And then we need to do the elections for the chair and the vice chair as a first order of business.
Okay, before we approve the minutes from the last,
Yes, please.
yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we now have elections for the next board. So I guess we started off by opening it up to nominations for chair.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
I had emailed Tricia and I had asked her if it was an option to just roll over our current status with Jason as our chair and you as our vice chair, because we've been extremely successful
Right.
with you and Jason, and we all spoke to that at our last meeting, but that's my 2 cents.
So do we still
If
have,
anybody else has anything else, I'm open to that too, but I like the way things are going. I suggest that we probably would benefit from keeping it the way it is.
thanks. Anyone else have any comments?
Got a motion?
Dave?
I move to re-elect Jason Blank as a board chairman.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, do we need a voice vote?
Aye.
You could do all in favor, say aye, or you could do either
Okay.
one.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Jason is our re-elected chair.
Now for vice chair.
I move to
Now, go ahead. So now we have nominations for vice chair.
I move to nominate Arthur Marcus as a board vice chair.
Second.
Barbara seconded it.
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Now I think we have, we want to look at the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any comments, questions, concerns? So can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes as they stand.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, David? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So now we want to swear in anyone in the audience who may be talking or speaking for a project that's coming up before the board. So the city attorney will swear you in.
Please stand and raise your right hand if you're going to speak to the board today. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay. So now we go to agenda item number 1. Number 4A, certificate of appropriateness for new construction of a 3-story single-family residence with a request for yard reduction. And Tricia will elaborate a little further on
Will we
the
do the
project.
disclosures, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any disclosures?
No,
Drive by. Oh,
Nothing to disclose.
No, none for me.
drive by.
David, you must know the property.
Remember to turn on the mic
Turn on your mic. Turn on your mic.
and just state what the disclosure is.
You press the button on that. Yeah. There you go.
Yes, I visited.
Did you do a drive-by? Dave,
Yeah, I visited.
site visit, okay.
A drive-by, walk-by.
Okay. Trish?
For this item, we have case planner Mike Frere, and he's going to give the presentation on this, this application. So he's at the podium to give the presentation.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay, I got my mask on. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. All right, so good afternoon, Michael Ferreira, urban planner, case planner for this item. This application is for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction to construct a 3-story single-family residence on a vacant property, on a vacant lot. This property is also located in an archaeologically significant zone. Staff has been working with the applicant on developing this project in order to meet the guidelines as much as possible, although there are 2 items that they don't meet. The first item is the height of the fence, where the historic preservation design guidelines max allows a 3-foot fence. The applicant is proposing a 4-foot fence. The next item is a front yard setback reduction from 25 feet to 15 feet. Important to note is that the Sebo Bend Historic District allows for this request. And also important is that the reduction in the front yard setback is compatible with the neighboring structure as well. So other than these 2 items, this item does meet the other criteria within the code. On page 7, there are elements that the zoning has pointed out that they need to address, that the applicant needs to address at time of building permit submittal. Like I said, that's on page 7. All right, with that being said, I'll read in the summary conclusions. Staff finds that the application for a certificate of appropriateness for new construction, including the request for setback reduction under case number HP 22010, located at 908 Southwest 4th Street, meets the criteria as outlined in sections 47-24, 11D3CI, and 47-24, 11D3C, III of the ULDR, and partially meets the criteria as outlined in section 47-17 of the ULDR. There are also a few conditions provided for consideration. The following conditions for the COA for new construction are provided for consideration by the HPB if the application is to be approved. All glass shall be clear with an option of low E coating. Mechanical equipment, including an air conditioning condenser and generator, are placed on the roof with a low wall surrounding the equipment. Further details concerning the height of the equipment and the wall will need to be provided at time of permitting to ensure that the mechanical equipment is fully screened from view. The screening shall be a minimum of 6 inches above the highest point of the mechanical equipment. This property is located in an archaeologically significant zone, and a cultural resource assessment survey is required per the conditions outlined in the attached letter from the city's archaeological consultant, Coastal Archaeology and History Research Incorporated. This application is subject to the approval by building, flood, zoning, and all ULDR requirements, including landscaping. Do you guys have any questions?
Any comments, any questions? I was going to mention something to you. I wanted to get the plans out before I did this. But I really, I like the way we're always talking about turning the garage in front, not facing the primary street. And I think it's exemplary that you've done that to at least hopefully set a model for the neighborhood that it can be done.
Arthur, this is, that's a staff member, that's an employee with the
oh.
city of Fort Lauderdale, so perhaps you want the applicant to speak first?
Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong project.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
So, yeah, he's staff, so did you want to hear from the applicant?
Um,
on this?
This is addressed to the applicant, really.
Okay, so probably we should get the applicant is here, or Matthew Sacco?
I was going to give them a compliment.
Okay, yes, I figured they should just, be up there to receive it.
So come up to the microphone, please. And just for the record, please introduce yourself.
Sure, Matt Sacco. I actually currently live in Sailboat Bend at 1219 Tequesta Street. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great, great. Well, I was just about to say, I do like the way you've set the garage on the side so it's not immediately visible to the street, which then sets the house back even further. So I think it was well done.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
If that is the case, do we have a motion proposed?
Did you want to ask the applicant if they
Oh.
have anything to present?
Oh, wait, we didn't do public comment either.
And then public comment, but usually they
So-
present something.
Do you want to make any presentation?
I could just make a few comments and then
Of course.
open it for questions if that's okay.
Sure.
I'll be brief. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the board members for taking the time to review this application. I also want to thank Tricia and the staff at the City of Fort Lauderdale for all the work they've done guiding us through this process. This is my first time experiencing this process, and also the architect who's here, Antonino, his first time going through this process as well. So Tricia's had to kind of hold our hand a little bit, and we do appreciate her patience and her team's patience with it. I've actually lived in Sailboat Bend since 2006. I know some of you folks live there as well. I moved there in 2006 when I first moved to Fort Lauderdale to work for the Florida Panthers, and I fell in love with the neighborhood immediately. I mention this because obviously this property that we're looking to develop is right down the street from where I currently live, and the reason I'm doing so is because I'm fortunate enough to have a fiance and a newborn daughter that was born 9 months ago, and we can't think of a better place to grow our family than in Sailboat Bend. So we're very fortunate to have that opportunity and to obviously bring this proposal in front of you today. I'm a big fan and supporter of history myself, and I'm a big supporter of historic preservation, as Commissioner Glassman, who obviously has this district, knows very well. I also sit on the board of the Fort Lauderdale Historical Society, so I take that responsibility very seriously, even though some people would say I'm a little bit on the younger side to be looking at that type of thing, but I want you to know, since it's your charge to oversee the nature of historic preservation in the city, that we do take that very seriously, and we have contemplated that in every step of the process so far, including the design and development of this project. We really wanted to fit in with what we fell in love with the neighborhood, its charm, its aesthetic, its eclectic appeal. I walk the neighborhood every single day with my fiance, my dog, and my daughter, and we love every aspect of it. We love the warmth that the different homes provide, and we love the warmth that is provided by the residents that live there, and we want to continue to provide the same thing with this project, and hopefully you see that as well in the design and the development that we have here. I'll just say a few things about the design, and obviously I can answer any questions you have, or our architect can. We intend to create a home that is understated, subtle, almost hidden among the charming nooks and crannies of the neighborhood, but also a home that cultivates the aesthetic, the charisma, and the historic charm that has long been the hallmark of Sailboat Bend. At 3 stories with soft, welcoming facades, traditional blended design elements, and blanketed by warm and serene foliage and landscaping, 908 Tequesta Street will be a home for our family to grow up in a neighborhood that we truly love, at a place of peace and tranquility that all Sailboat Bend neighbors can be proud to have around the corner. The proposed new home will be about 5,000 square feet under air, with 4 bedrooms, including an in-law suite, so that my parents can easily spend time with their first granddaughter. Facing the north fork of the New River to the rear, the home also features a well-landscaped pool deck and outdoor patio, as well as uncovered balconies on the 2nd and 3rd floor. The design has been carefully developed to avoid creating a large structure in favor of a gradual progression of building massing. I think you mentioned that, Chairman. Hip roofs with standing seam metal roofing contribute to the residential feel, also creating a dialogue with the neighboring properties. And the garage is, as you said, the structure closest to the street, but it faces east, creating a subtle entrance circle, and has an elevation similar to the adjacent building. The main portion of the house, which is 3 stories and 34 feet high, is placed a significant 74 feet away from the street. Lastly, I just wanted to reiterate once again how special this neighborhood and the city is to me and my family. We walk the streets every day. We love where we live, and we are committed to building a home that appropriately reflects that love.
Great. Thank you very much. With that, I'll open public comment. Is there any public comment? Then we'll close public comment, and we'll open it up for the board's comments. Nothing? Anyone? Well, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll just make a couple comments. I really like what you guys did on balancing every elevation. It really looks well thought out. The front elevation is beautiful. The rear elevation looks great, and even the side, even though it's a tighter lot, the side elevations you can tell put a lot of thought into. I think it's going to be an amazing addition to the street and to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
With that, I'll open it up to a motion.
I'll move to approve. I'll
You have to read the.
Yeah, I will. I
All right.
will read. Okay. I motion to approve the resolution for certificate of appropriateness for new construction, including the request for setback reduction under case number UDP-HP 22010, located at 908 Southwest 4th Street, based on the following findings of fact. In other words, based on facts and findings as outlined in the staff memorandum. And if conditions apply, is subject to the following conditions, state applicable conditions on the record. There is a do I have to read the whole thing, right? Yeah. Is that right?
You would just state that if you wish that it includes all the conditions in the staff report?
Yeah, this includes all the conditions that are subsequently listed. And I move that we approve the application.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it. David, okay.
May I read the resolution?
Pardon?
May I read the title of the resolution?
Yes.
A resolution of the Historic Preservation Board of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving a certificate of appropriateness for new construction for a 3-story single-family residence and approving a request for yard reduction for the property located at 908 Southwest 4th Street, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the Sailboat Bend Historic District, case number UDP-HP 22010.
Okay. So we have a motion pending to approve the project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have a second project on the agenda. It's case number UDP HP 22012, 220 Southwest 3rd Avenue. And I'll let Tricia introduce the project.
Yes, I'll be presenting on this item. Tricia Logan, Principal Urban Planner. This is a certificate of appropriateness for major alteration for the renovation of an existing parking area to include a 2nd-story addition to an existing storage container and site improvements, including seating, paving, landscaping, and fencing. The proposed work does not interact with the actual historic structure on the site. The historic structure on the site is known as the Shippey House, and this house was moved to its location in 2014 from the Sailboat Bend Historic District and now is in the H1 or Himmershey Historic District, very close to the New River Inn. So on the site, there is an existing storage container. The proposal is requesting to add a 2nd story to that existing storage container with a half-size storage container, and then renovate the exterior of that existing structure in the new addition with clapboard wood siding. And they'll use the upper story for dry storage, the lower story for cool storage, a bar area, and restrooms. And then throughout the site, there'll be landscaping, seating, new paving, fencing, and a pergola structure that frames the entrance into the area. For the most part, all of the work that is being proposed does agree with our regulations. The only item that partially meets our regulations is under ULDR section 472411 D3CI, which is concerning the general criteria for approvals of the certificates of appropriateness. And in that, I point out that they are trying or asking to use corrugated metal in various locations throughout the site. That's not a material that's found within the historic district. And so within our guidelines, we do look for compatibility with materials and with massing, of course, and other items when considering an application. But materials is one of those elements that we want to take a close look at.
Tricia, what is permitted?
Well, what is permitted is something that is compatible with the district. So you'd
I'm
want to
saying
look at,
material, if there's no corrugated metal allowed, is it only wood?
well, there's wood, there's stucco, there's also a stone that's present on the new river end. So there's other elements within the district. So it's really something that the board has to consider if you'd like to allow the introduction of a corrugated metal into the district. It's only in select locations. It's at a planter at the front entrance, and then in areas that are located within the site plan.
Okay,
But just to point that out so that it's understood that it's not a material that is generally found within the H1 historic district. So with that, I'll read the summary conclusion. And just to note, the zoning plans processor did review this application as well. There are a few items that are listed on the last page of the staff report that the applicant will need to incorporate into the plans prior to submitting for a building permit. And then with that, I'll read the summary conclusion. So staff finds that the application for a COA for major alterations under case number UDP-HP 22012 located at 220 Southwest 3rd Avenue meets the criteria as outlined in ULDR section 47.16.5, partially meets the criteria as outlined in ULDR section 47.24.11 D3CI, and meets the criteria as outlined in ULDR section 47.24.11 D3CII. There are two conditions that are provided for the consideration of the board. The first one is the corrugated metal is not a material found within the historic district, and it is suggested that an alternative material is utilized for the planter and overhang that is more appropriate to the historic structure and surrounding historic district. And two, that the application is subject to the approval of zoning, building, and all ULDR requirements, including landscaping.
okay, thank you. Are there any disclosures on this property?
I have none.
Nothing to disclose.
Nothing?
I've walked by it.
You walk by?
I went to the site.
And Richard?
I've walked by.
And Richard?
And the property many times.
Okay. With that, we'd like to have your presentation and an introduction.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Snyder, president of FSMY Architects and Planners. Instead of going through, Tricia did a great job explaining what the scope of the work is going to be. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. But at this time, I'd like to have Chris Harding. Chris is the operator and tenant that operates Cycle Party. It is their project that they're going to be bringing in. So just to give you an overview of what this concept is.
How's it going? My name's Chris Herting. I'm the current tenant. I currently, and for the last 7 years, since partnering with Riverwalk to rehab the property, we have, the intention was always to activate. We back then had Cycle Party, which has been operating in Fort Lauderdale for going on 10 years this past December. We have since then operated a business out of the site called Riverwalk Activities, where we rent and offer bike tours around Fort Lauderdale. And most recently, a year and a half ago, we started another tour operation on the river with paddle boats that you guys have probably seen before, called Paddle Pub. The goal with the property and my vision was always to enhance it at some point. And with I think what we're planning on doing, you know, our current customer base is going to appreciate what we're trying to do there. I mean, the goal is to get more people into that district and activate. And that's still going to be our intention with what we're planning on doing. I just needed the right partner. Now that I have that partner, I'm looking forward to hopefully moving forward with this project and hopefully enhancing the neighborhood. With that said, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Are there any questions?
Are you okay with doing something other than corrugated metal?
Oh, yeah, not a problem. Yeah. Yeah, you can.
I can answer that. Yeah, we're going to go ahead, and especially the planter out front, we'll go ahead and incorporate the same lap siding. The other element that Tricia had mentioned in the staff report, we'll eliminate that corrugated and put the same kind of wood pergola framing that's at the entry element. So we'll take that out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Barbara, do you have anything else? No. Okay. I do have one question. I think it's a really exciting space, and as was said, to activate the street. And I think it really will achieve that aim. My only question is, if you look on sheet AS 201, at the very lower right hand, there's a picture of the new two-story storage container that's clad, and this, I'm assuming, is like pretty near where you would walk into the property. And my question is, a blank wall looks inappropriate there. I mean, maybe another window on the upper level or some change in the texture or something?
On the second floor?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the second floor, we can. The second floor is strictly dry storage. So the ground floor, the existing container that's there is going to be renovated. So the south end is literally going to be kind of an open bar.
Okay.
And then behind that, and I think there's a floor plan on one of the plans.
It would just look like a friendlier building, that's all.
And, you know, it's something that we can absolutely take into
I mean,
consideration.
just to match the window on the lower level
Sure.
with the upper level.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Just with that art, that you can probably do that by doing just a decorative element or a faux window.
Sure,
To give that
absolutely,
appearance of it.
yeah.
Okay, good. Are there any other questions? Do we have a motion?
You
I'll
already
make a
opened
motion
up
to
the
approve it.
public? Did you already open it up to the public?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, public. Is there anyone in the public who would wish to speak? We do apologize.
No, that's okay. Good evening, Jacqueline Scott. I'm so proud to be standing here and talking about the Shippey House. You know, Doug and I, and probably many others in the room, were the original people that got this house saved when the house was to be absolutely torn down. Couldn't be saved. So I'm proud to be here. I think this has just been such a wonderful example of saving a historic house in an adaptive reuse. So I'm here totally to support this project and thank everyone for what they've done for the Shippey, and thank you in advance.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gina Ellis. I'm President and CEO of Riverwalk, Fort Lauderdale. It was through Friends of Shippey and Doug Snyder and many others, especially with the Cycle Party people, that we were able to renovate this property. Over the last 7 years, we've seen an enormous amount of traffic in that area. It's ready for more. This is another opportunity, and we think that this tenant is going to bring this to the next level, and we very much hope you will support this application.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Cotter. I live at 432 Charlie in Sailboat Bend. I just want to speak in support of the project. My partner and I walk our dogs past Shipley House 3 times a day, and we look forward to stopping there for a refreshing beverage when it's open.
Thank you. Okay, with that, if there's no more public comment, we'll open it up to the board. And we've already had our board comment, I believe. So, is there anyone who would like to,
I'll make a motion to approve.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Does that
Second.
include all the staff conditions in the staff report?
I was going to read it
Oh,
as,
okay.
as it exists in our folder.
Okay.
So my motion to approve the resolution for a certificate of appropriateness for major alterations under case number UDP HP 22012 located at 220 Southwest 3rd Avenue based on the following findings of fact, blah, 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 is subject to the following conditions. And I'll let you finish, please.
Okay, so do you adopt the findings of fact in the staff report, Tim?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and you want to include all the conditions in the staff report?
I believe that's what we all agreed on.
Yes, okay. May I read the resolution?
Please.
A resolution of the Historic Preservation Board of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving a certificate of appropriateness for major alterations to renovate an existing parking area to include a second-story addition to an existing storage container and site improvements, including seating, paving, landscaping, and fencing for the property located at 220 Southwest 3rd Avenue, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the Himmershey Historic District, case number UDP HP 22012. And I believe Ms. Lyons second the motion, right?
Yes.
Already?
We need a second.
We do have a
No,
second.
I
Oh, we do?
seconded.
I'm sorry.
I seconded.
With that, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Good luck. So now we have some items to discuss under the, for the good of the city of Fort Lauderdale. And we've already elected our new officers. And then we'll let Tricia speak to the other two items that are listed.
Sure. The next item on the list, which states Historic Preservation Month recognition of rehabilitation projects, is something that Mr. Bray had brought up at our April meeting. And then he wasn't here at our last meeting, and Chair Blank had asked for us to continue it until
Right.
Mr. Bray was available to discuss that. So he did provide me a few properties as a list, but after discussion with the city attorney's office, we didn't publish those properties within the actual agenda, just because we haven't had the chance to have a discussion as a board.
So is this the time for discussion?
Yes,
Okay.
so it's just for Mr. Bray to, do you want to talk to the board about the properties, or?
Last month.
Oh,
So if Trish has the properties, you can discuss them.
Okay.
I have the list of properties, but I believe that we also discussed what is the intent of this discussion, and is it to present an award to these property owners? If that's the intention, then there should be a communication to the city commission of wanting to do an award ceremony, or that there's certain or select properties that the Historic Preservation Board would like to recommend for awards, but it's not something that the board is necessarily tasked with to do award ceremonies. It's my understanding.
Maybe Dave Parker can speak to this better, but historically, from what I recall, they have done acknowledgements, recognition of historic properties in the past. So that was the intention because of Historic Preservation Month. That time has passed, so maybe you should just wait till next year. I don't know, but that was the intention.
sometimes it may be more expeditious to have a local neighborhood group give these types of awards, if it can be objective. It's just a suggestion.
As I said, I thought that the Historic Preservation Board had done that in the past. If not, then that's fine, but that's what I
Right.
understood.
Okay. Thank you, Tricia.
Sure.
And,
And then the next item is a proposed amendment to the ULDR. And this is something that was raised at our meeting last month about notice procedures for historic designation. And Jerry, could you project the slides onto the screen? So at last month's meeting, we heard the Castro Convertibles building, and there was discussion on additional notice procedures that were provided to an applicant or a property owner in advance of the Historic Preservation Board meeting. So we came up with an option to consider for additional notice procedures. So it would include an additional mail notice to a property owner that would not only notice the property owner listed and the property owner mailing address listed in the SunBiz, but it would also notice the, what is it called? The registered agent, thank you. And then additionally, a sign notice would be posted for the HPB meeting, in advance of the HPB meeting. This is something that we do for City Commission already, but just as an additional layer of notice that's provided to the property owner in advance of Historic Preservation.
and what category of projects?
This is for designation only, historic
designation.
designation. Yeah, and this was raised due to the review of the Castro Convertibles
And
application.
this would also apply if the property owner decided to propose his or her own
Well,
property for designation.
If it's yeah, I mean, it would be applicable to any historic designation application that came before the board. The property owner does have the option to apply themselves, and if they do apply, they have the option to opt out of the mail notice requirement, because it does require a 30-day in advance mail notice for the Historic Preservation Board.
So will Castro Convertibles still be heard at the next meeting?
So that will be heard in, right now, it's being scheduled for the July 5th City Commission
Oh.
agenda,
Okay, that's right.
unless something changes.
Okay.
I have not heard from the owners.
Ah.
Still don't know though.
I'm sorry?
They still probably don't know their property's getting ready to,
Well, in advance of the City Commission meeting, there'll be a sign notice placed on the property that's 15 days in advance of the meeting, a newspaper notice that's 12 days in advance of the meeting, and we send a courtesy mail notice again.
when does the sign go out again?
It goes up 15 days in advance of the City Commission meeting.
So Trish, just for clarification, this proposed amendment would take that sign, for one of the changes was this, now the sign will go out prior to our HPB meeting to discuss the designation as another layer of notification, so to speak, to the property owner.
Correct.
And we will also have a letter sent to the registered agent in addition to whoever's registered with SunBiz.
Mhm.
So just so we're all kind of like on the same page, this just gives, in my opinion, more fair play to the way we do things in consideration to ownership. And it not even looks that way. It is a more considerate procedure to say we took as many avenues as we feel is fair to give fair notice to respond. And in this case with Castro, we haven't heard anything yet, but we don't know that they have the information and decided to just say, you know, whatever. We don't know anything until, I imagine, we have the commission meeting, the way it stands now. So what are we doing with this proposal? Are we voting on it?
No, this is, we already approved it.
Okay.
It's going on the,
No, that we would need a motion from you guys in order to get this going, because the idea is we'd have to make sure that the commission directs the city manager to direct staff to do it.
I thought
So
we did
this
that
is-
last time.
No, you just discussed it. So there was no
I think
motion.
Arthur's confusing you're confusing the Castro convertibles designation with the proposed text amendment. So the Castro convertibles designation, the HPB recommended approval to the city commission. Separately, this is a text amendment that's proposed.
Well, I do have a question for Trish, and would ask everybody on the board to chime in that. Does this make sense to everybody? I mean, we've got a nice mix of people here. Are we asking the city to do something that's not going to make a difference, or does it seem like it's a good thing to do? My gut feeling is that these are two additional steps that do make sense, but if there are additional steps that are just going to be pushing paper around and aren't going to make a difference, then we need to know that. How do you feel about it, Tricia?
It's really up to the board if you consider it something that's necessary as an additional layer of notice to incorporate into the code. If you do believe it's something that should be incorporated, then like Shari's saying.
Well, I like the sign going up rather than 15 days before a commission meeting. I think
Sign
that's,
notice is provided at Planning and Zoning Board, just if that helps any. Planning and Zoning Board does require sign notice, so that is something that we do there. As far as the registered agent, this would be the first one. It's not in the code.
Just a question, and Tricia, I really commend you for the priority that was placed on this. I know I was pretty vocal at the time about how crucially important I thought this was. I still believe it, and it's awesome to see a response in this way so efficiently and so quickly. So to be clear, was it planning and zoning did this prior to every meeting, but there was a distinction between historical, where someone brought forth a certificate of appropriateness application versus a city elected designation that was exempt from a signage
No.
requirement?
So at Planning and Zoning Board, we handle the site plan. So with the site plans, every single site plan, you have to have the sign notice.
Understood.
Planning and Zoning Board level.
So prior to this proposed text amendment, this was something that just was, use the word exempt, what was not obviously was not a required step.
That's correct.
I think it's a fantastic additional step that hopefully doesn't burden the staff much, because truly it seems like it's routinely done for certificate of appropriateness, minor alterations. We're doing that as it is, so it just puts in line a uniform step that, at the very least, it's visibly on site. So I think it's a great step. And additionally, I don't think we were serving registered agents before providing that. Now that's there, so I really applaud the quick implementation of what was, I thought, a very necessary step to add to the process. So I'm totally in favor of it.
Okay. Are there
So
any
just,
other comments?
Just a suggestion, the recommended motion would be to recommend that the city manager ask staff to push forward this ordinance. So it would be a motion like that.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'm happy to make the motion. For some, I cannot read that, and my agenda packet doesn't have that specifically set forth in the
I
motion.
apologize, that was me, because we haven't been directed by the city manager / city commission yet, so that's why it wasn't a part of your.
Totally fine. I heard you loud and clear as to what we're being proposed. So I guess I'd have to either go up there to.
Yeah, so it would be just the notice, an amendment to 4727.7, an amendment to it to require additional notice, which includes sign notice and notice to the registered agent, to direct a recommendation to the city commission to request that the city manager direct staff to prepare the ordinance and bring it through and bring it along the lines of passing it to the city commission.
Can I make that motion in verbatim to what the city attorney just stated?
Yes.
On the record?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll make that motion as specifically set forth just a moment ago.
So you just need a
Okay.
second.
Is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Tim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Is there anything else under good of the city?
Nothing else listed on the agenda.
One just thing I wanted to mention that I had a communication with Tricia earlier is that the Pier 66 Hotel, you said they're going to present to us at the next meeting?
Yes, Pier 66, the representative for that project has offered to make a presentation at our July HPB meeting to update the board on the proposal for development.
Okay, good. Just FYI. With that, is there anything else? Then do we have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.